Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser. I want to join the long line of people who are mourning the sad early passing of the comic jabroni, Edwin. He gave me any time that, I needed to ask a question about putting a video together, lighting, music, things like that. He was someone that I went to because I started consuming a lot of his content early on. And, you're talking about someone with over 1,000 subscribers and some dude with 20 subscribers asks him a question. And every time he gave me the time that I needed to answer my questions. Every time, I showed up on one of his streams or in one of his videos, or we showed up in mutual places, I always got a hello. I always felt very included because of every act of kindness that he showed. But the last thing I'm going to do in my videos is add a little flavor of what Edwin would do in his videos that we all really, really loved. And if you all seen any of my comments on the videos, then you should be able to figure out what I'm super excited about after this. But we love you, brother. We miss you. We will all see you again someday. And we'll open up mystery boxes and have from the shittiest bourbon to the classiest bourbon in the world. But thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Hey! The champ is telling you to do something. All right, you know what? You know what? You know what just happened? Because you didn't do what he said? You know what? You know what? You just made the list!
I'm going to awkwardly sit here for a second and let you hear the music. One of the things that I love the most about listening to Edwin's videos was not just his, intoxicating energy, but it was the music he played in the background, all of those 8-bit video game soundtracks. And literally every video I would get excited at the clip of the game, and I remember the one that made me start pestering him about 8-bit soundtracks the most was the one you're hearing right now, the Chip 'n Dale's theme song. So one of the things that I want to do to keep, my memory of Edwin for as long as I'm making videos is to find video game soundtracks that I can put some songs in the background, because that's one of the things that I wanted to do but didn't want to pee in his playground or pee in his pool. But I want to do it so we can, as people watch, we can get some of those catchy earworms that he was responsible for every week playing in the back of our heads. Okay, so first up, from Aftershock this week, I've got 2 books I'm going to pick up. The first is Artemis the Assassin number 4. It's by Stephanie Phillips and Francesca Fantini. I've really enjoyed trying to figure out what's going on in this story. You see a lot of interaction between the 2 women, and one of them knows 100% what's going on, and the other one's just kind of along for this time-traveling ride while they're being chased through history by other people, and I just like every single turn that we see it taking, right? We left them in the Wild Wild West, and I want to see where they end up now. I love it because I think Stephanie Phillips is just on fire in the way that they write. Francesca Fantini's art is spectacular, and I'm excited to read this book every time it comes out. Second, probably the Aftershock title that people are the most excited about this week is Dead Day number 2 by Ryan Parrott and Yevgeny Bornyakov. The Purge plus Coco plus Night of the Living Dead is going to be kind of an interesting thing that we see play out, right? At the end of the first one, we got clues into what Dead Day is and how infrequently it happens, but we also get this idea that it may not happen on a consistent basis, and you don't know who's going to come back and visit you. Is it going to be a loved one? Is it going to be someone you wronged, and what can the dead do when they are back for a night? Which I don't think we have the answer to that question from the first one. And I'm super excited to figure out what's next. I think there's a very good chance that this is going to be the first book that I read this week. From AWA, I've got 2 books that I'm picking up. The first is Archangel 8, number 4, by Michael Morici, C.P. Smith, and Snakebite Cortez, which I still think is the best name in the industry. So in Archangel 8, this is the next to last issue. It's 4 or 5. We're getting this nice, interesting play on heaven and hell, good versus evil, kind of playing these things out, and it's just a fascinating read. The next one that's coming up is Hotel number 4. I've been honest with it before. I am picking this book up, but I have one hole that I have to fill, but my goal is to read all 4 of these issues of Hotel, because on Thursday on Lost in Comics' channel, they are going to be interviewing the writer of Hotel, and they've just been killing it in the interview game recently. Additionally, on Thursday night, Lost in Comics will be competing on episode 2 of Comic Book This or That, and they are debating Adrian APM, and their topic is who is the better nemesis, the Reverse Flash or the Joker. And you'll see some more details about this debate kind of floating around my social media throughout the week, but I'm excited to see what these gentlemen do. From Boom Studios, I've got 2 books picking up. Number 1 is Once and Future, number 10, by Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora. I want to see what happens after that ending in book number 9. I love the literary interplay between the two. I love how no matter how much you feel like there's some kind of resolution when one crisis ends, it seems like 3 more begin. In this book, I want to see if Duncan has evolved into a fully fledged monster hunter in the same way that his Grammy has. Second one is the Power Rangers Drakkon New Dawn, number 1. I liked Ranger Slayer so much that I am now pulling from one of the 2 shops in my town, both Mighty Morphin and Go-Go Power Rangers, and I want to see what happens. I believe this is a 3-issue arc that takes place after Ranger Slayer. The covers that I've seen floating around the internet are all beautiful for this book, so I want to see what this top secret cover looks like, and there's a good chance that I'll like this book as well and be kicking myself for not reading Power Rangers since day 1. From DC, there are 5 books that I plan on picking up. Number 1 is obviously Batman 97. We are in, the 4th part of the events of the Joker War. This arc has just been really, really interesting to figure out what's going on in terms of the coma state, the haze state that Batman was in the issue previous. I'm excited to see what James Tynion IV and crew have up their sleeve for this book. The second one is Justice League number 51. This switches to another new writer. I knew that Cy Spurrier was only on for a 3-issue arc, but I didn't pay attention to the news enough to see that Vendetti was gone. So we get the first book with Jeff Loveless and Salvador Roca at the helm, and there are a couple of covers. I'm just going to pick up the regular A cover for this one. The next one is a Black Label title. It's Wonder Woman Dead Earth number 4, all by Daniel Warren Johnson. This has been a very interesting series that I caught up on way too late, and I think this is a 5-parter, but again, don't quote me, because I'm probably wrong. That I wanna see how this continues to wrap up, but I love these Black Label tales. The story is always interesting, the art is always straight fire, with the exception of Superman Year One. That was not good. The next one that comes out, I don't know if I'm gonna get it or not. It's the DC death metal, the guidebook, and it's written by a bunch of different people, and seeing that Chip Zdarsky has a tale in here makes me want to pick it up, since I'm a big Chip Zdarsky fan. So I don't know if I'll read this, or maybe if reading this will help things make a lot more sense for what's going on, instead of me just kind of being confused and de facto trade waiting by setting all these books off to the side and reading them when it's all done. Next, from IDW, I've got 2 books that I'm planning to pick up. Number 1 is G.I. Joe number 7. I've liked what's kind of happened in this arc in terms of the Joes are the insurgent forces fighting against the Cobra Run United States of America. It's by Paul Allor and Ivan Hughes, who also did the cover art for cover A. The next one's a number 1 I plan on picking up. It's Voyage to the Stars number 1. It's James Asmus and Connie Williams. The next book I plan on picking up is an IDW number 1. It's Voyage to the Stars 1. You're seeing the A cover. It's by James Asmus, Connie Didone, and Freddie Williams II did the cover. This is another one of those. I didn't read the previews for this book, but I'm trying to read more IDW tales, so I'll pick that one up and let you know what I think about it later. From Image this week, there are 3 books I plan on picking up. The first is Decorum number 4, with all of that Jonathan Hickman and Mike Huddleston charts, graphs, crazy table goodness that's going on. I really like the A cover that's done by Huddleston, and it's a wraparound cover, which I think those are pretty cool. Next, we've got Ludocrats 4 of 5 coming out. I love this book, and I still am confused why some of you hate it, but if you don't like all the weird sex that happened in the last one, then I guess that makes sense. The next is an Image Top Cow book. It's A Man Among Ye number 2. Again, this is my second book, written by Stephanie Phillips of the week, with art by Craig Cermak. The only reason I'm reading this is because my gal Nat, who is at Gin and Something, recommended reading this series. I picked up the number 1 like a month after it came out, found one of the first printings, thankfully, and I'm hooked. She was right, I was wrong. From Marvel, I've got several books. The first is Cable 3A. It's by Jerry Duggan and Phil Noto, and Noto did the A cover. Unless I can find one of the cool variants on the cheap, then I will only pick up the A cover. I still haven't read Cable 2 from the week that my shop was closed down, so there's a good chance on Tuesday I will have the binge of X that is happening. I also really like this cover because does this mean we're going to see Deadpool play his way into the X-Men world a little bit more? I know that in Kelly Thompson's current run on Daredevil, we've been seeing a lot of interplay between Deadpool and the X-Men, and he literally just, ended up on and got kicked off of the island of Krakoa, so I want to see if he's a little bit more serious in this one, or if it's Cable and Deadpool being Cable and Deadpool. The next one is Excalibur number 11. It's by Tinny Howard and Marcus 2. Excalibur was one of the ones that I struggled with a little bit at the beginning because I wasn't familiar with the Braddocks or the Captain Britain storyline all that much, but I've really, really enjoyed what I've been through on this 11 issues, and I want to see how it sets me up for the next event. The next one is Spider-Woman 3A by Carla Pacheco Perez, and I can't remember Yoon's first name, I apologize, but I'm intrigued by this Spider-Woman fighting a dinosaur. I liked issue number 2. I know there were a couple of people who really, really, really didn't like it because it seemed out of sorts for Jessica Drew, but I think in a world where we've discovered that she's kind of been poisoned, that her superpowers are kind of reversed, and she's now a guinea pig to help become the next experiment for a cancer drug. I want to see what she does, and I want to see why she's fighting a Triceratops, because that excites the shit out of me. Next, probably one of, if not the hottest book of the week is Thor number 6, Herald of None. It's the masterclass written by Donny Cates and Klein. This is the A cover. To be honest, I might make some cover buys if I can find all of the variants on this and see if, I can benefit from a little bit of spec heat on Thor that everybody's loving it. Are we going to see the true identity of who the Black Winter is? Is it going to cause a ripple effect of everybody who's created these big conspiracy theory lines being drawn between everything that is happening in Thor and all of the work that Cates has been doing across all of those titles, since it's not uncommon for him to do universe building when he's writing multiple Marvel titles at the same time. So, you know, I think this book is going to be... Next is, you know, my continued outrage about the titles being delayed and pushed to digital. Jane Foster Valkyrie number 10 is going to come. It's Jason Aaron, Torun Grönbeck, and Ramon Rosanas, and Asrar did the A cover. I'm definitely picking this one up. I've really loved what's gone on in this book. So, you know, it's new to me because I didn't pick it up digitally. And then next we get Wolverine 4. You're looking at the A cover by Kubert. But this is Percy and Bogdanovic. I am wondering now if we're going to see a bigger role played by Omega Red in the book, since he's on the cover. He was the one featured in kind of the B story of issue number 1, and then has laid a little bit quiet since then. There's a good chance I'll buy multiple covers for this one too, because I've been finding all of the variants for relatively cheap, and since Wolverine is one of my favorite characters, there's a good chance that I get this. From Scout, there are 2 books that are coming out this week. The first is It Eats What Feeds It, number 2. This book is amazing. I read it early from my Scout box. I talked about how cool it is on Saturday night, or last Saturday night, with the boys from Comic Burrito. I don't know what the hell is happening in this story, but I definitely need more of it. And then the other one that comes out is Yasmin number 2. I really, really loved Yasmin number 1. I believe on this Wednesday is when I'm breaking down this month's Scout box, so you'll kind of hear me dissect the cover and things like that. But if you want a good story that feels real and human and a refugee tale that needs to be told, then you need to be reading Yasmin, and I want to see if I can get an interview with the creators, because... And then the last one, another Vault number 1, it's Shadow Service number 1 by Scott Howell and Farrell. And Howell and Farrell did the cover. I did a preview of this book a couple months ago. You'll see the link down in the description. I don't want to talk about it, spoil it for anybody, because someone got mad at my hot take on Engine Ward when that came out physically. But you should read it. I, in between Engine Ward and Shadow Service, liked them both, but liked Shadow Service number 1 a little bit more. And I think that this is going to be another one of those Vault titles that might catch a good bit of heat, so you want to get on it when you can find the copies instead of praying for a second or third print. So that's what I've got. Is there anything you think I'm missing this week? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll pick them up on Wednesday when I walk into my LCS. Like I said, remember the 2 big things that I've got going on this week. Tomorrow is Shortbox Padawan's auction, where I have some really, really cool things lined up. Where 100% of those proceeds will be donated to the Ocasio family's GoFundMe, and again, the link is down below. And then on Thursday night is Comic Book This or That, episode number 2, where we have a debate that is happening. It's Lost in Comics versus Adrian APM. And then for the second half of the episode, the Comic Jabroni was supposed to debate Bearded Comic Bro, but we talked about what to do for the night, and we decided that Edwin would want the show to go on. So what will be happening after the Lost in Comics and Adrian APM debate is that I will be unveiling a playlist of some of my favorite Jabroni videos for people to kind of check out, to keep the channel alive, to keep the memory alive, to, you know, keep getting that ooh yeah and the flexing going. And I don't have the muscles to do a gym selfie and look as swole as Edwin does, but maybe someday I'll try. So as always, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.